Hello, this is Andy, Atlas Forge. As we get started here, there's a lot of pressures around the world that seem to be just boiling over. Pick your poison and you'll find it. So today we're going to talk really about challenging the oldest monopoly on earth, and that's money. So as we get started here, welcome to the call. Today we're going to talk about the all-important five-letter word money, and we'll see where this takes us here today. So first of all, I think when you look back at this in history, 100 years from now, I truly believe that blockchain, not necessarily Bitcoin or any of the current altcoins for that matter, are the ones that's going to change money as we know it. But one day I believe historians will really look at cryptocurrency and blockchain as the biggest boom ever. It's the greatest improvement in money in what, 5,000 years since Mesopotamia. So we look at wealth, we look at money, and it evolves constantly. And as you can see through the volatility of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, there's been hacks, there's been fraudulent activity, there's been all kinds of scams, there's been busts and booms and cycles and setbacks. But when you really look at a product like blockchain, and that's what it really is to me, it's an accounting mechanism, if you will. Blockchain is changing the world, and we'll get into the reasons why here. But I truly believe as history buffs look back, this will be one of those moments like, electricity, the steam engine. It's that powerful. And of course, whenever you deal in money, it's the biggest industry in the world. So I really believe this will go down in history as being the biggest change in the 21st century. You're starting to see countries like Argentina and Venezuela. You could throw in Iceland, Greece, Spain, France. What's happening and why people are flooding to cryptocurrency? And you just look at Argentina or Venezuela here in the last year, their governments have printed and hyperinflated their currency to the point where it had no value. And you always hear me say that, great change is never made through elected officials. It's made through we the people. But for we the people to make that change, we have to experience enough pain to make that change. And you're starting to see that now. You're starting to see full-blown countries adopt blockchain, Bitcoin as a payment method. And because they've experienced so much pain, they had no other option. And sometimes in history, when you look at things, that's exactly what has to happen. You have to experience enough pain to make the choice to change your ways. And that aha moment or that pain for me was literally 10 years ago. I was working in the financial industry, and I sat and I watched the meltdown of 2008. My hands were literally tied. I had no power, I had no control of my money. All of those that I invested on the behalf of were locked out. So after the dust settled, everybody lost about half their net worth. And I thought, okay, I've learned my lesson. These vehicles and these monetary vehicles for investing and movement of money and retirement and funding your golden years as you grow older, pensions and governments, these things they're not feasible. They're defunct. They're bankrupt. So fiat currencies, over 5,000 years and 4,000 currencies, they've all gone bankrupt. So it just makes sense that massive adoption happens next. And you're starting to see that everywhere. There's a lot of money behind Bitcoin and blockchain and new companies just daily. I see great opportunities in this space, and you need to learn it. And that's what we teach here at Atlas Forge is this is the future. This isn't going anywhere. It makes so much sense, saves so much money. It's undeniable. And now it's unstoppable. What turned out in the beginning to be a fad is now a full-blown monetary asset. It's a new asset class in my eyes. So you're going to see over the next decade more volatility, more problems, more just abuse of the monetary system, because that's what fiat currency really allows elected officials to do: manipulate money, markets, indices, all across the board. So you're seeing that fractional reserve banking is terminally declining. It's on its way out. It's undeniable. Another reason that a lot of people are moving towards cryptocurrency is because it's non-inflationary. You're not getting killed with fees. And my most recent story that I can tell you, we got married down in Aruba over in December, and I paid for some of the wedding and some of the the cruise ships and the things for the group. And I had a good, healthy bill on my debit card. And I get back home and I start reconciling my debits and my credits and looking how much money I spent, which was ridiculous, but we had a great time. And then all of a sudden I see these international POS fees, international point of sale fees. So my couple of weeks down in Aruba cost me literally in fees just over $600. This is ridiculous. $600 to use an American huge tier 1 bank debit card somewhere in the world, which costs them absolutely nothing. You got to remember, major banks, tier 1 banks, central banks, these entities are in essence using your money and profiting from it crazily. There isn't a quarter that goes by that major banks don't show hundreds of millions of dollars of profit. And why? Because I just donated, just over $600 to use my debit card in Aruba. And this is ridiculous. So fractional reserve banking and the fees that are associated with it, the time, the central authority, the permission, it's archaic. And you can bet as we move forward in the 21st century, these ideas, they need to be put to bed like several decades ago. Unfortunately, I see over the next, years to come, mainstream banks will start accepting Bitcoin. They'll have all the gadgets to go with it, storage, software, but I'm kind of torn between true Bitcoin, meaning it not having a owner, if it will, and I look at altcoins as they are all paired to Bitcoin. They all kind of run on top of Bitcoin, but they all have developers and they all have people that are making decisions for that cryptocurrency. And you see a lot of times you hear of soft forks and hard forks and the splitting of these blockchains. It all comes down to greed. And the way I look at altcoins and cryptocurrency, 99% of them won't be here 10 years from now. There'll be a select few of cryptocurrency that have provided utility that will, just like the dot-com boom, you saw all these companies created, but very few companies that were created in the dot-com boom are still around. Most notable, the one that really stands out that really thrived was Amazon. So it's going to be that kind of scenario where we have thousands of these cryptocurrency. Most of them are total nonsense. They have no value, no utility. Somebody made them in their basement over the weekend and put them on the exchange. They literally have no value. So be very cautious on what coins you hold long term, because there's only going to be a handful that are going to meet the needs as this moves forward. And I don't believe Bitcoin or any altcoin that's on the exchange right now is going to be the dominant coin. I think you'll see a dominant coin come out in the future, and we'll get into that next week, the dark side of cryptocurrency, that I'm going to show a complete other side of cryptocurrency. And you need to be cognizant of the fact, or at least aware of the downside of cryptocurrency, because for all the good it has, it can also be used in nefarious ways. So I think this will be the year 2019 where we'll find an equilibrium within the cryptocurrency space, provided that nothing major gets approved through the CME or ETFs type thing. Derivatives market, the CME is the leading world's derivative market, and sooner or later they'll find a way to profit from the cryptocurrency. And the latest boom bust cycle that we just saw was really the big boys from Wall Street, who are magnificent at marketing hype, came in and really pumped and dumped Bitcoin. There's no other entities, not even the Chinese miners, that collaboratively could pump and dump to that extreme. So that was all big money, big boy investor money that came in and really took advantage of a naive cryptocurrency space, in my opinion. There's lots of opinions out there, but I just follow the money, and the average person's still holding. So it was all built up in hype. And then, of course, as we reconsolidate now, you'll see another boom. But I think it'll take another year. I think you'll see some major corporations and the derivative marketplace expand, thus driving that all ever price upward. But we got a long way to go. Like I said, 95% of cryptos will go away, just like I said in the dot-com boom. But you've got to remember, these are all things that challenge money and the monopoly that we currently live in. It's all around the world. Money is manipulated like no other, and it's not in your favor. So just like the internet changed the phone industry monopoly, crypto will undermine the monopolization of a government-backed money. And that's huge. You're going to see more and more volatility around the world. That's the way it is. This will be an ongoing process. I don't see anybody out there with the solutions. I see a lot of people making accusations and running their mouths. So I look at it from a standpoint of an investment. Where would I put my money? What coin should I have them? And why? So that's what we teach, and we'll continue to teach this over the years to come here in Atlas Forge. But you'll see thousands upon thousands, you're already seeing it, more and more money flood into cryptocurrencies. You look around the world, led by the Japanese, there's a company every day opening something with cryptocurrency in Japan. Like I said last week, I find it ironic that the most indebted country in the world with the worst GDP to revenue ratio is, it's up like 286% above GDP. So their economy is so inflated. It's a scary situation. And you look at China, you look at the United States, you look at Germany, the top 5 GDPs in the world, they're all based off of the same thing, debt, fiat currencies. And these methods have proven to not work. It's really those that survive that I'm focused on. There's going to be a certain group of coins led by some great utilities, some great developers. Just like Amazon came out of the dot-com boom, you're going to have a couple of different coins. So you really need to be plugged into cryptocurrency, and you look at utility more than anything. But that's where the real fortunes are going to be made, in a very few select cryptocurrencies. And you need to understand, most people in cryptocurrency would look at a white paper, meaning what is its utility? What's its marketplace? How's it going to penetrate a market? And you look at some of these white pages, they have no plan to penetrate a market, to actually use the coin. So you need to identify and understand which ones have value, which ones have utility. That's what we're going to teach here at Atlas Forge on an ongoing basis. So if you think you've missed the Bitcoin boom, don't worry. This is just starting. And if you want me to quantify it, really 2 different ways that really signify it's at the very, very beginning of this new payment system, this new asset class, is you look at the amount of money that's moved on a daily basis, and you look at the amount of money that's moved in cryptocurrencies. You divide the amount of the volume or the capitalization of cryptocurrency divided by what's called MV, which is monetary velocity, and you're going to come up with a number of market penetration, meaning how much money is actually used in the cryptocurrency versus fiat currency space. And you're going to come to a number that's about 1/2 of 1%, meaning of all the money moved on a daily basis, only 1/2 of 1% of that is cryptocurrency. Now, of that 0.5%, very, very few use it as a payment system. So very interesting. So the timing is perfect. You couldn't be at a better place right now than to at least dip your toe in the sand. I mean, it hurts you none. I mean, start little, $50, $100 a month getting into cryptocurrencies. Start learning the ways that we provide here at Atlas Forge, where you have a way to earn cryptocurrencies while the market is stagnant right now. And there's lots of different passive products that we offer that you can get involved with, that you can make a great, great appreciation on some of these products. You need to understand that we've been in this now for several years, and we've done quite well. But the very first thing, you need to understand the legitimate cryptocurrencies from the fake ones. So don't expect Main Street media to show you how to make a fortune in tech trends or digital currencies, because by the time you see it on TV, it's too late. I mean, it's already done its deal. So what we do at Atlas Forge is we have contacts around the world, and we've been in cryptocurrency for years. We accept cryptocurrency payments for our platform here on Atlas Forge. We accept cryptocurrency for any of the products that we sell: gold, silver, strategic metals, cryptocurrency mining rigs. So we're part of the process. We're actually providing utility, helping this cryptocurrency foundation get started. Because the more people that use it, the more people that have it, the likelihood of volatility decreases. So, like always, any asset class, the more people that own it, the more stable the asset class. When too many people own any asset class, they have the ability to have great weight on whether it goes up or down. And that's the easiest way, without throwing a bunch of Wall Street jingle at you or jargon at you, that I can explain what's going on here. So understand that this technology, when it first started, it was a fad. It really was. It was a gaming, I believe. And you hear all the people that, they use Bitcoin to buy pizzas and all these different types of things. But you got to understand, cryptocurrency is valuable, or I guess popular with investors right now, because they're struggling to get returns for their clients. And this is a new asset class that looks very, very promising for the future. So we look at innovation and we look at blockchain and how it will literally change the world. Capitalism is 100% about innovation. If you lose innovation, if you lose entrepreneurship, you've lost capitalism. And capitalism is what makes the world great, because no matter what happens, ups, downs, the economies, wars, depressions, recessions, manipulation, fraud, it's capitalism that continues to innovate and improve our lives in many different ways. So it might slow down, nothing great may come of it. But when you look over just the last 10 years, 20 years, think of all the things that have just improved life. And when I look at the future, holy cow, the convenience of the future, from transportation to logistics to communication to the unbanked people of the world, is absolutely phenomenal. So a lot of these innovations are created out of necessity. Now we can say that the blockchain, even though I've seen earlier reports of cryptography in the military in the 1970s and 80s, it was never really thought of or created and used as a monetary system. It was just a logistical or an accounting software, if you will. So all great change really is created out of necessity through we the people. So if you don't like what the banks are charging and the fees and the hassle, I haven't gone to the bank yet, but I'm on my way this afternoon to go fight these over $600 charge on my debit card for simply using the product is ridiculous. So somebody's going to get an earful today, you can bet. We live in a world where large institutional structures that supposedly supplied the safety to the individuals are slowly disintegrating. So what I mean by institutional structures, I'm talking about social programs, entitlements, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, pensions, whether it be corporate or government sponsored. These things were built on a pro forma that will no way be able to maintain funding for you when you grow old. You have to take things upon yourself, diversify, hedge, insure, speculate, if you even have a fighting chance to be wealthy here in the 21st century. So we can't rely on the old paradigms of school, corporations, governments, because when it comes down to safety, it really falls in our lap. You need to be proactive of what's going on in the world. And we have the ability, there's plethoras of information, starting here with Atlas Forge, that'll help you, guide you, and make some decisions for your future, for your kids, for your retirement. So the best way to really deal with all these scary markets is really to trust capitalism. If you're worried about income, or if you got high debt, go find an additional income stream. Go be an entrepreneur. Go sell, butterfly nets online or whatever you're into. It doesn't matter. But you've got to start being an entrepreneur, taking more control of your life, especially financially, because governments aren't going to be there. So trust capitalism, trust yourself, be your own bank, be your own broker. Those banking fees on average throughout your lifetime is $60-some thousand in fees you're going to pay. If you invest in the stock market and you have a, BYOB, bring your own broker, well, he makes money whether you make money or you lose money. And you're going to pay another $175,000 over your lifetime to have the privilege of somebody losing your money for you. So it's not that complicated, guys. There's so many great opportunities around the world in real assets and property and investing. It's scary. There's no need for these nonsensical, overrated, bubbled paper derivatives and bonds and stocks. It's all manipulated with funny money from the Fed, given to their good old boys at Wall Street, and the central bankers laugh all the way to the bank. It's the same nonsense that's been going on for decades. So we look at cryptocurrency, and they're a major part of innovation in the economy. So capitalism and innovation go hand in hand. Entrepreneurship. If you don't want to ride over the cliff and you feel helpless and you don't have control of your money, that's key. You must go into relying upon yourself. Take cryptocurrency. Now, we'll get into a little bit more here in cryptocurrency. Ethereum and its native token, Ether. It's known as, Ethereum. These type coins are, in essence, an escrow fund. And I'll explain what that really means here as we go. But it has something called smart contracts that allows you to build in, instead of hiring a lawyer, for example, to define the goals of a transaction or a supply demand or a buyer seller negotiation. A lot of people use escrow. It's like a third party holding money, and it's released through central authority, the lawyers, the title agencies, like a house, for example. But all of that is changing, and I want you to look at this slide. Now, this slide, it looks complicated, and we've got smart contracts in there, and I won't go through all of it, but what it really says is you have supply and you have demand. And the supplier wants to meet the demand. So you've got a buyer and you have a seller. In essence, you have two people that want to enter into an agreement. So what they do is they put a smart contract in place, and this can be utilized through the blockchain because it's an open accounting. The entire blockchain is downloadable, which is nothing more than a history of transactions. But look at what smart contracts really do. Let me tell you, the best way to explain smart contracts and all these keys and digital, all these digits and codes, I'll break it down really easy. Let's say that Atlas Forge, who's a real property asset management company, wants to buy $1 million worth of gold. And there's a mine in Africa, for example, or you can go down South America, wherever, or even right up here in Canada if you'd like. Atlas Forge says to the seller, the supplier, hey, I'd like to buy $1 million worth of gold. And they say, okay, great. And a smart contract would work like this. Let's say you enter into an agreement that Atlas Forge wants to buy $1 million worth of gold from said supplier. In the smart contract, once that document was executed, I would release, or the smart contract would release, $100,000. That would be step one of the smart contract. Step number two would be, once the gold is mined from the earth and put into a truck and can be verified by an on-site representative, that would be stage two. It releases another $100,000 within the smart contract. Now, because trust, I can't tell you how many times I've chased rabbits down the hole. I mean, I've been doing this for a decade. I always look for gold deals. I always try to buy mass amounts of gold, and it always comes down to one thing: trust. If I give this guy $1 million, I might not see him again. I might not ever get my gold. And the gold guy's saying, well, I like you, I trust you, but I don't. I'm not sending you $1 million of gold until you put the money in my bank account. So there's a trust issue. What a smart contract does is layer payments, if you will. Once certain thresholds or expectations are met, it releases a certain sum of money. So here we are, we're at stage three. And let's say this gold's been mined, the gold's been put into the truck. I've now, through smart contracts, I've released $200,000. Now, the third step in this smart contract is, once it gets to the point of export, and it makes it through customs. So it's in Africa, it's made it through customs, I release another $100,000. Now, upon arrival in port of call, city of wherever, let's say Los Angeles, it comes in, passes through customs, it releases another $100,000. Now, once this gold is shipped to its ultimate destination, and this could be used, by freight or air carrier, now the gold is being sent to my vault. And once it's sent to the vault, I release another 100,000. And then upon completion and inspection and all those types of things, I release the remaining 300,000. That's how a smart contract works. It needs no third party approval. It doesn't need an attorney. It doesn't need any of these executed documents that take forever. And it really resolves the problem of trust. And that's a huge one, because people don't trust people anymore, and rightly so. So smart contracts will change the way business is done. Think of it another way. smart contracts for something as simple as buying a pizza. Let's say you order a pizza and you don't want to pay for it until you get your pizza and check and make sure it's hot and it's got the pepperonis and extra cheese that you like on it. Well, on your smartphone, of course, you order a pizza. 15 minutes later, a drone shows up on your porch. You inspect the pizza and you give the approval. The smart contract releases the money to the pizza company. Everybody's happy. It could be that simple. It would reduce theft. It would reduce cost, time, logistics, everything. Whether it's fruit from South America or California or imported wine, everything goes through these same type channels. That is costly, it's time consuming, and it's built on trust, where if you just eliminated fraud out of logistics and delivery, you would save companies millions and millions of dollars. So it's attractive to Fortune 500 companies because it can save a lot of damn money. This is an asset class that saves time, saves money, that's less expensive, that can be secure, that eliminates trust. So you have a product that solves a lot of problems. That's why I believe it's going to be around for a long time. And that's why I called this the challenge to the oldest monopoly on earth. And that's really the US dollar. As the US dollar goes, so goes the world. Whether people believe that or not is irrelevant to me. I know that 90+% of all money is tied to or dictated or really to the US dollar. And it's just fact. It's called the SWIFT system. But we look at how this changes the world. I mean, how many times has a bank account been hacked? How many times has there been fraudulent activities? I mean, there isn't a week that goes by that you don't see a major central bank around the world that gets fined for some kind of indiscretion. And guess who pays for that? We do. So today, every international payment must pass through a network of local banks, same central banks, and international wires. Like I'm going to go down the bank today, and I have to send a wire, and it's going to take 7 or 8. It'll go from different banks, then up to tier 1 banks, central banks, and all along this process, there's a fee or another hand involved or another entry point for fraud to happen. So fees, potential errors, threats, privacy, and other security. Cryptocurrency eliminates all that. You won't need the lawyers and the exchanges. This will be difficult for we the people to have our own money. It will come at a cost, and it will take a long time for it to happen. So the timing's just right. But cryptocurrencies, it just makes commerce internationally much, much simpler. They solve the multiple problems inherent in finance and commerce today, including the fees and time it takes to send international payments, because it's ridiculous. It is literally a click of a button. Why it takes 5, 7, 8 days and costs me $50 is beyond me, and I absolutely can't stand it. So each step from your wallet to the end user, meaning through the fiat system, through the SWIFT system, it's inflated, meaning there's a fee along the way, and your money, it's bad enough that it's losing purchasing power. It's bad enough that it's inflationary. It's bad enough it's really, really high in fees. I mean, this improvement in money is well overdue in my eyes. I can't believe it's happening. I'm thrilled with it. I love cryptocurrencies. Now, why? They're not dependent on central banks. See, that's half the problems now with the current situation is, half the population doesn't even have a bank account. And I find it ironic that some of these people that are coming up into the middle class and coming into capitalism, their first look at money is going to be cryptocurrency. They won't have known the theft and the fees and the indiscretion of the central banks. All they'll know is free ownership, all the great things that go with cryptocurrency. So in a way, they're kind of blessed that they haven't been in the banking system right now because they're not being controlled through money, that's for sure. Basically, this is the main problem cryptocurrency solves. It avoids governments, borders, middlemen, extra transaction costs. It's highly secure and avoids problems like forgery. Cryptocurrency, probably in many forms, will be in our future. It will dominate the monetary supply at some point. It's nice that it's private. It's nice that it's encrypted. But understand, with having and owning and maintaining your own currency, it also comes with responsibility. My biggest fear right now are the masses responsible enough for owning and maintaining their own currency, because there is no tether. There's no bank that's going to bail you out if you lose your 4-digit code to your ATM machine. There's no bank that's going to reimburse you or cover your. These transactions are final. So there's a lot to learn about cryptocurrency, not only its purchasing, its use, its utility, but also its security. Where do you store it? What's safe? Where do I go? How do I save it? How do I buy? How do I sell? How do I not get hacked? So some of these altcoins that you're seeing, they focus just on that. You started with the base, like in Bitcoin, and then they built layers on top of it, hoping to improve, say, scalability, utility, security, ease of use. And as this adopts, and as it becomes mainstream and become more user-friendly and simpler for the masses, that's when you're going to see the explosion in the mass adoption. So do I think it's too early for cryptocurrency and Bitcoin? Oh, hell no. I think it's just getting started. And I think that the bankers around the world are going to get into this space and be a dominant player in the future. However, I believe that there's a window of opportunity right now for the next several years to invest in real property and cryptocurrency and some passive residual assets that, quite honestly, are just the appreciation on some of these products that we offer are amazing. We're finally seeing the results now. So it's a great, great day for real property assets. Strategic metals are up. So what we've brought to market so far in Atlas Forge is exactly what we've preached about. Hedge and protect what you already have, invest from a safe environment, and speculate. On Atlas Forge, you'll see that we offer gold, silver, platinum, palladium, which is the foundation. This is the hedging, the insuring, the protecting what you have. And then really step two, we offer strategic metals because it has great future for the Internet of Things. Everything that's electronic is specifically tied to the 6 strategic metals that we offer. That is investing from a position of strength, a position of safety. Investing in strategic metals immediately diversifies you, gives you the ability to have assets that are under a different regulatory authority. It's diversification. It's becoming a global entity in a commodity that absolutely has a fantastic future. It's like investing in smartphones, cell phones, flat screen TVs, computers, drones, electric vehicles, solar power. I mean, if you didn't, where do you think the future's going? Why do you think we offer these strategic metals? Because we think they're going to be very, very, the supply will just go crazy in this decade. It's a very safe place to be. It's easily liquidatable. You own, maintain, and control it. And it provides a huge, huge utility for all things electronic, from robotics to drones to you name it. That's the future. The Internet of Things is well upon us. And then, of course, we offer a product that's speculative in nature. We offer cryptocurrency mining, and it's going quite well. So as we launch here in our first 90 days, we get through the beta test that we just experienced and made sure all the logistics and everything was working properly. We started with exactly what I said: gold and silver to hedge, protect, insure; strategic metals to invest from a position of strength that has great utility in the future of all things electronic; and then thirdly, speculate. Take some money, whatever allocation you believe is correct for you, because everybody's situation is different, and take some speculative risks where the risk might be higher, but the returns can be spectacular, meaning the appreciation can be spectacular. Is anything guaranteed? Not in this world. But what we do is we teach, we educate, we train you to look and understand. I always say to everybody, you should always do your own research. Don't believe what you're seeing on TV and what big old Wall Street guys say, because they're in it to make money, period. They are linear thinkers driven by greed, and they don't give a damn about you or me. They're there to make money, period. You got to think about this. It's these get rich quick schemes they don't work. It's a slow process that involves calculated risks, dollar cost averaging, saving over a long period of time, making a commitment, being responsible, taking some risks speculatively, but doing it with a good knowledge base of what you're actually doing. Because so many times I see people that they have all their money in one bank. You know how dangerous that is right now? Ask the people in France, ask the people in Spain, hell, ask the people in Europe, where they limited, ATM withdrawals 40 euros a day. I think it was Spain or Greece or somewhere over there, and recently. And you had all the riots. Look at Venezuela. I mean, you could be a multimillionaire, and if you had all your money in the bank, sorry, you're SOL. That's why diversification is key. This volatility, believe me, desperate governments, desperate entities would do desperate things in desperate times. So you can mitigate those losses. You can insure against those threats. But just passively sitting by and doing nothing, quit your whining. Don't complain. If you're not willing to do anything about it, I really don't want to hear about it. I don't mean to be crass, but come on, people. People talk a lot and then they say, well, I should have done this and I should have done that. Well, yeah, you should have. So you got nobody to blame but yourself. You always, I won't go any further. I'll just let it go with that. But do you understand what I'm saying? You can't trust anybody in this world but you. And you need to get up off your butts and do some simple, basic things to ensure your wealth, ensure your money, ensure the standard of living for your kids, your grandkids. Because the world's gone mad. When we look at things, I believe right now, especially here in the United States, you're going to see more of the same. You're going to see a deadlock. Right now our government's shut down because we can't get two sides to even come to the table to negotiate, compromise, come to an equilibrium, find a middle ground. It seems like the whole world is just volatile with hate, and whether it be culturally, religiously, countries, it's sexual oriented. Everywhere you look, it just seems like people are just going crazy. And there's what happened to common sense and rationality, and it's gone out the window. And it's a terrible, terrible example for our kids. I see elected officials from around the world screaming at each other and this nonsense. So I'm a firm believer of, hey, let's make it happen ourselves. Together, we're more powerful than alone. Make some good, sensible decisions about our future, because sooner or later, inflation and this mindless draining on the system, it comes to an end, a bad end, and it's not in your favor. So we'll go from there. There are a lot of crypto frauds out there right now, and it's like the Wild West. So be very, very careful about scams. There's one thing about the cryptocurrency community is there is the developers and highly intellectual individuals on both sides, the good and bad. People with highly cognitive skills with computing and hacking, and they're anonymous. They can get away with it. Security should be an utmost factor. If you own cryptocurrency right now, I guarantee you shouldn't have it on an exchange and an e-wallet. Find something that's compatible with whatever coin that you have, and find a cold storage wallet, take it offline and secure those passwords. Use 2FA, use the Trezor, use the whatever you need to secure your cryptocurrencies, because hacking and this stuff will continue indefinitely. So it is really the wild, wild west out there. So what I guess I'm saying here is challenging the old monopoly on earth. Central banks, the majority, 20 central banks that I last read, I think it was 23 central banks are paying negative interest. You've got a negative yield curve with the bonds that'll come due in the third quarter here of this year. You've got a overinflated stock market bubble infused with cash from the Fed. You've got the highest price to earnings ratio on the stock market, the Nikkei, the Sing Sang, whatever you want. It's all the same. All countries are in line printing and printing, and it's all funny money. So when the house of nonsense finally, well, self-destructs, it will consume itself. Don't be on the wrong side of that when it happens, because you will be very, very limited on what you can do. So I guess with 30 years experience in the financial industry, you need to learn how to separate legitimate coins from fraud. You need to learn how to understand macroeconomics of the world and put yourself in the best possible scenario of what ifs. Because at the end of the day, I always tell people this. Let's say I'm wrong, and some way, somehow, the Fed, the IMF, the powers that be find a way to wiggle their way out of an ever-increasing accumulation of $300 trillion in debt worldwide. Let's say they figure out a way to steal our money and pay for all this stuff. And all these real property investments that we offer, the economy's not affected, and there's a rainbow of sunshine on the other end of the mountain, and nothing happens. You know what? What's the worst case scenario for you? Nothing. All the products that we sell, you own, maintain, and control. That's the key to wealth. That's the key to standard of living. Innovation is the key to economies. So take it upon yourself to subscribe to Atlas Forge. I mean, the reason we created Atlas Forge in the first place was I've learned my lesson. I've experienced enough pain in and around the financial markets around the world to know that it's not the safe haven it once was. It's just plain and simple. It's not. That's what we teach at Atlas Forge. And I'll sign off. Check out Atlas Forge. Get in there. Go pay for a year's worth of subscription for the year. We're going to talk a lot of things over the coming year. Gold, silver, strategic metals, cryptocurrency, passive residual products that are proving very, very lucrative. So with that said, check out atlasforge.com or get back to the person that shared this with you. And this is Andy Morbitzer, CEO, Atlas Forge. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon.